Authorities charge a suspect with second-degree murder and destroying evidence in connection with a weekend homicide. KOAM News at 10 is next.
After driving Sealy.
Now at 10, authorities charge a man in connection with a murder in Labette County. Plus, Pineville kicks off its annual Jesse James Day celebration, and a first grader in Carthage finds a way for everyone to make a new friend.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities in Labette County, Kansas now have a suspect in custody in connection with the homicide of a woman over the weekend. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Dow Quick. 53-year-old Derek Curry of Parsons is charged with second-degree murder and interference with the judicial process to conceal or destroy evidence of a crime.
When the officers got inside the house, they had talked to Curry and found out that he had been cleaning using bleach and stuff in his house. And then with the evidence that was found out at the scene that matched the evidence in his house that he had tried to destroy to cover up the crime.
Authorities say Curry killed 28-year-old Kylie Caldwell of Parsons on Sunday. They also say Curry and Caldwell were acquaintances. Caldwell's body was found Sunday afternoon in a field near the intersection of 20,000 Road and Ness Road in rural Labette County. The KBI was called in to assist and found evidence that she had been murdered. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a warm, almost hot day for us today. 86 for a high, very consistent temperatures this week. Started at 66, average high 78, record high 95, set back in 1953. Most of us are still sitting into lower 70s right now. Pittsburgh, a hair cooler at 69. We have 68 in Stockton, also in Monette, but pretty much clear skies. Had a couple little showers skirt on by earlier this evening, but now we are shaping up pretty good. All right, through the night, clear skies, drop back to 65 for an overnight low, sunshine in the morning, back to 77 by 10 a.m. The heat is going to stick around, but there are some changes down the road. We're going to look at that here in just a little bit.
See you down the road. Folks in Pineville today went to church for some live music. It's part of Jesse James Days, which kicked off today. The First Baptist Church hosted a gospel night. There were also vendors, a bounce house, a mechanical bull, and frisbee throws.
So Jesse James Day celebrates the 1939 movie Jesse James that was filmed right here in Pineville. A lot of the residents were actually extras. A lot of McDonald County residents were in the movie. It was shot right here in town. So we like to come together, celebrate that, celebrate the success that the movie had, and give back to the community.
Fun continues through Saturday. Other events include a pageant, a softball tournament, a parade, and a poker run. Rise Elementary School in Neosho, Missouri found a creative strategy to overcome the lack of green space and playground area around its new building. School buses take students about 2 miles to Scenic Park. Instead of having 2 recesses per day like most local schools, kids at Rise Elementary have one 30-minute long recess. The 230 students go to the park divided by grade levels. Kids can enjoy the playground area and other activities, all with the supervision of teachers.
Kids love it. I've actually wondered and teased some of the teachers that they may not want to come to our own playground once we have it, because that park is so beautiful. It's shady, it's got lots of trees, it's a beautiful setting.
We've really incorporated setting down what our guidelines are, where they can and cannot go. We've talked about rules, safety, and procedures over the first 2 to 3 weeks of school.
The school is working with the district to find a closer solution and get a green space near the school. Kids at a Carthage Elementary School got themselves a brand new place to sit. KOAM's Anthony Saviello tells us why this new buddy bench is so special.
For kids who may struggle to develop friendships, the playground can sometimes seem like the loneliest time during the day. However, for students at Carthage Steadley Elementary, those lonely playtimes might be a thing of the past.
We read a story about a buddy bench and how if children need somebody to play with, they can go sit on the buddy bench, and then that helps the other children to know that they want a friend or they're feeling left out. So they know that if they look at the buddy bench, that's somewhere that they can go and find somebody to play with.
This new bench provides a great opportunity for friendships to spark and kids to encourage one another. But who is to thank for the buddy bench making it to Steadley? Well, none other than first grader Bo Whitehead and his dad Flint.
It gave me an idea to talk about it and see if we could get one for our school and see if we could use it.
He thought that was a great idea. The class had talked about it, and so it was something that he thought would be really cool, something that they could have. And then they talked to Dr. Northup about it, and the more that he kind of talked about it, the more the wheels in my mind started turning, and I knew that we had a couple of these benches, so if it was something that we could make happen, we're always more than happy to be able to do that. And as a parent, it's pretty cool to see that from your kids.
And thanks to this pair, kids at Steadley Elementary will always have the opportunity to have a buddy by their side. Reporting in Carthage, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Bo went on to say he hopes to see a buddy bench at every school in the state. Why not at your town? Coming up, a AA regional tournament hit the softball diamond today between Miami and Dewey. John has all the highlights coming up later in sports. Plus, 7 Republican contenders for the White House square off in the second GOP debate.
Let's go places.
Republican candidates met for their second presidential debate. Former President Donald Trump's top rivals would like to stop his momentum before the Iowa caucuses formally kick off the presidential nomination process in less than 4 months. Danya Bacchus reports from Simi Valley, California.
7 Republican candidates trailing Donald Trump in the polls by a wide margin spent the night competing for their breakout moment.
Donald Trump hides behind the walls of his golf clubs and won't show up here to answer questions like all the rest of us are up here to answer.
Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now.
After skipping the first GOP debate in August, the former president campaigned in Michigan Wednesday instead of joining his GOP rivals at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. GOP candidates debated a range of national issues that at times unite and sometimes divide the party. GOP candidates went after President Biden on a range of national issues, including immigration, the environment, and the economy.
And Joe Biden's Green New Deal agenda is good for Beijing and bad for Detroit.
Unlock American energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. Put people back to work by no longer paying them more money to stay at home.
Joe Biden should not be on the picket line. He should be on the southern border working to close our southern border because it is unsafe, wide open, and insecure.
Former Vice President Mike Pence, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley, and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy worked to set themselves apart from the crowd.
I favor ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants in this country.
Well, these law enforcement officers, they arrest these people and then they go and they're let out the very next day. So law enforcement feels like no one has their back. We have to start prosecuting according to the law.
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie also shared the spotlight. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Simi Valley, California.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson did not qualify for tonight's debate after making the first one. His campaign says he's going to head to Michigan to hold a news conference critical of former President Trump. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he needs more time to pass the 12 spending bills needed to fund the government. So he's pushing for a short-term continuing resolution that would temporarily avoid a government shutdown. Some hardliners in his own party say they will oppose any CR, even if it means a government shutdown. The Senate is working on its own continuing resolution, which has broad bipartisan support to keep the government open for the next 6 weeks at current spending levels. Meanwhile, President Biden is warning that a shutdown would impact all Americans.
A lot of vital work in science and health could be impacted, from cancer research to food safety. So the American people need our Republican friends in the House of Representatives to do their job. Fund the government.
The president says he does not believe a shutdown is inevitable, but added that he didn't know how to avoid it either. American soldier Travis King is expected to be back in the U.S. very soon after being expelled from North Korea and transferred to U.S. custody in China. The Army private entered North Korea back in July while visiting a checkpoint on the demilitarized zone. He'd been serving in South Korea, was detained there after an assault conviction, and due to return to the U.S. when he entered North Korea. There's no word on why North Korea suddenly released King. First Lady Jill Biden traveled to the Show Me State today. She touched down at the Charles B. Wheeler Downtown Airport in Kansas City before touring the Harry S. Truman Presidential Library and Museum in Independence. While there, Mrs. Biden met with high school students and teachers to highlight the library's programming to support civic literacy and education in the community. She ended her visit to the museum by laying a bouquet at Truman's grave. First Lady wrapped up the day in Missouri by attending a fundraiser for President Biden's re-election campaign in Kansas City. A little bit later, a Joplin nonprofit gets a great big check, a grant for $5,000.
Plus, it looks like our temperatures are going to heat up even a little bit more. We're going to look at that coming up.
Indigo Sky Casino.
Well, it was another warm one for us today. We did get a few little tiny showers in our northern counties. Everybody else may mainly stay dry and pretty much clear skies, and that's what we have out there right now. Clear skies, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. It looks pretty good across the region. All right, November is right around the corner. I always get this question this time of the year. When is our average first frost? And of course, we're late September, but we have to get to usually the third or fourth week of October before we normally see our first frost. Now, we do have a little bit of a colder snap coming in about 10 days, so we'll keep our eyes on it, but it's definitely warm out there over the past several days, and it's going to stay that way this week. All right, lower 70s, 68 in Stockton, 69 in Pittsburgh. Let's go outside. 7th and Rangeline sitting at 72. East, southeasterly winds are fairly light. Visibility at 10 miles. And our winds, you can see this little wind shift line, northern counties, and that's what gave us a few clouds and a couple little sprinkles earlier today. Tonight, clear skies, drop back mid-60s for overnight lows. You can see those showers kind of skirting by. It looks fine now, and this was associated with that weak little front and down across southern Missouri and then wraps up into this upper level low. If you look out toward the west, there's not a whole bunch going on. That means our weather is pretty quiet as we go through the next several days. Let me walk you through your next 48 hours. By morning, sitting into low to mid 60s, pretty much clear skies. By the noon hour, we're sitting into low to mid 80s, and then I'll stop it at 4:30 in the afternoon. 91 in Fort Scott, 90 in Chanute, Miami up to 91, 88 in Neosho. So another warm / hot day. Tomorrow night, we drop back into the mid 60s again, clear skies. And then on Friday, a carbon copy of what we're going to see tomorrow, sunny skies, high temperatures, right around 90 degrees. A day planner for you on your Thursday, 65 in the morning, 84 by noon, high temp of 89, pretty much clear skies all day long. Let's jump to Friday night. Of course, Friday night we have high school football. It's going to be a little warm, but it's great weather. Kickoff of games, 81 degrees, dropping back to about 75 by the time we get into the fourth quarter. All right, so why are we so dry this week and warm? We're under high pressure, so our pattern that we're almost out of is a 50-day cycle. If you go back, we were in triple digits at that point in time in early August. So until this area of high pressure breaks down, we're not going to get any storm systems in here. So let's go to the middle of next week. Here comes a storm system that gives us rain plus much colder temperatures behind it, and that is our official start of the new pattern that we are going to be in all the way until next October, so for the next 12 months. 89 tomorrow, 89 Friday, Saturday, upper 80s through the beginning of next week. Thunderstorm chances and turning cooler late next week.
Looking at that forecast, I'm already kind of planning my weekend, and it'll include some outdoor activities.
Yeah, it's going to be warm.
Yeah, be nice. Thanks, Doug. Grant money flows into a Joplin nonprofit organization, the American Water Charitable Foundation, and Missouri American Water today presented a check for $5,000 to Bright Futures Joplin. The money will allow Bright Futures Joplin to provide weekend food, clothing, and school supplies to Joplin students with difficult economic challenges.
Very far, especially with buying food for our snack packs and for helping us fill immediate student needs like clothing, coats, shoes. We rely entirely on our community support, so this is huge.
State strategic impact grants are part of AWCF's Keep Communities Flowing grant program, focused on 3 pillars of giving: water, people, and communities. Philanthropic Group awards more than $18,000 to 23 nonprofit organizations in Crawford County. Future Fund Giving Circle is comprised of community members from Crawford County who pool their resources to make a difference. Since its inception in 2006, the Future Fund Giving Circle has awarded more than $170,000 in grants. To see the full list of this year's recipients, just check out our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Still ahead, Patrick Mahomes speaks on the effectiveness of the Chiefs' defense early in the season, and highlights from this afternoon's softball regional between Miami and Dewey. John Dales has those stories and more coming up next.
Join the KOAM Roadshow in half off, only at Ashley.
It's been a good year for Miami High School softball. The Lady War Dogs host an OSSAA regional tournament today and tomorrow. Now, Miami receives a first-round bye, meaning the winner of Dewey and Muldrow play the War Dogs in the regional semifinals at 2 o'clock. War Dogs at home, taking on Dewey, who did win that first game over Muldrow at noon. Danae Green in the circle. She's on fire early, getting back-to-back strikeouts in the first inning. Game is scoreless until the bottom of the second with runner on second. Ball 4 gets away, and then Green, who got that walk, forced to throw to second, meaning Carly Cook came home safely from third. 1-0 War Dogs at that point. Same score in the 5th inning. Hayden Pilkinson skies one to left, and that drops down. She gets waved around third all the way to home, but the relay throw gets her at the plate. Stays 1-0. Top of the 6th, a little bit of trouble for Green. Tying run on second, go-ahead run also on base, and she gets the strikeout, keeps it a 1-0 game. Same score into the top of the 7th, 2 outs, and Shatana Sutton singles up the middle, gives Dewey a little bit of life. Tying run on base again. Next batter, Macy Smith, slaps one the other way, go-ahead run on base again. Mound visit for the War Dogs, who need just one more out to move on to the regional finals, and they get that out. Ground ball over to first base, does it. Danae Green goes the distance, shuts out Dewey. Miami onto the regional finals tomorrow. In pro football, the Chiefs head to the Meadowlands this Sunday. They face the Jets, who lost their starting quarterback in the first quarter of the first game. Now, Pat Mahomes says facing the Kansas City defense is a big challenge for him, so Zach Wilson might be in for a long night on Sunday.
I would hate playing our defense, and obviously the players. I mean, they're deep at every single position right now. But the scheme and how they execute it, that's why I always say after training camp, I'm like, all right, now we can get back to regular season where I can focus on just the couple coverages that I'm going to see or the little change up here and there. Versus our defense, it's like every single play, you never know what to expect, and I think that's hard for offenses to go against. And then having a defense that, I mean, a lot of these guys have came back for the second year now or multiple years, and they have an understanding of what Spags and why he's calling stuff and what he wants. I think that's what makes it so special, and I think they're going to continue to grow and continue to get better with more and more reps.
Over to Major League Baseball. Cardinals lose a close one, 3-2 against the NL Central champ Brewers tonight. St. Louis jumped out to a 2-0 lead early on, couldn't hold it, had a great opportunity, bases loaded in the 8th with 1 out, but Ivan Herrera grounds into a double play. Series finale tomorrow afternoon in Milwaukee. Meanwhile, the Royals played just 4.5 innings this evening in Detroit before Mother Nature gets in the way after a brief rain delay. Game gets suspended until tomorrow. That means at 12:10, Royals and Tigers pick things up where it was left off at 4-0 in the 5th. Then, half hour after that one finishes, they play their regularly scheduled game tomorrow. In that Cardinals game, that double play I was talking about, it's frustrating for Cardinals fans because that's one of the plays where the fundamentals aren't there. Ivan Herrera slides feet first into first base, which is a big no-no where you can obviously run all the way through it.
Yes, and probably get there faster by running all the way
100%,
through.
100%, yeah.
We'll be right back.
2024 Hondas are here. That means
we are proud to salute Charles Barney, a four-state hero.
All right, take a look. The Sphere is Sphere Entertainment Company's $2.3 billion, 17,000 plus seat live entertainment venue. It was built just east of the Venetian Expo in Las Vegas. It's the largest sphere-shaped building in the world. Stands 366 feet tall, 516 feet wide at its widest point. I know, perfect sphere. All the dimensions should technically be the same, but it's not. Anyway, the eye-dropping ball is covered in 1.2 million LED bulbs where the images are constantly in motion, always changing. Pretty spectacular. The eye-catching venue will host live music, film, and sporting events. It debuts officially this coming Friday.
So it's not a sphere.
No, but it's called a sphere, and it involves a sphere.
I like how the CG at the bottom said sphere-shaped.
Yeah. Yes, as opposed to a sphere smell.
Yeah.
I guess.
Very true.
All right, the weather.
Yeah, it's going to be warm once again, upper 80s to near 90 all the way through the weekend, but some changes next week.
Final sports note.
That regional championship for Miami, they did themselves a favor by winning today. It's double elimination, so even if they lose that first game, they can still win the regional if they win the second one.
That's what they do. Thanks for joining us. Morning show starts at 5 a.m. Let's make it a great tomorrow.